to the Low Bottom High Rise podcast with me, your host, Moira Casaba, and I have my bestie.
Hi.
In the house. Erin Hopkins is in the house today.
Oh my gosh, this is fun.
Long time coming.
Yeah.
Like, people always ask me how long have you had that podcast? I always ask her about all my stats. I'm like, how long have I done this?
It's 2 years.
I think it's been maybe 2.5.
Ever since that day that I told you not to call me back until you recorded your first one.
Yeah, that's how she's the reason. She is the reason why this whole podcast exists. I think that's an important story.
I love that story.
Because I've shared this on actually a solo podcast. I'll link it in the show notes so you guys have it. About having...
What did you call me?
I said you have to have an Erin in your life, but basically a bully. A friend who's like kind of a bully. And this is who she is. So, but you also have to be the person that like knows who to call. That is like, I knew to pick up the phone because I needed to be bullied. You know what I mean? Where I could have called somebody else that was going to be like,
it'll happen one day.
Yeah, like it's okay. But I called her. So the deal with this podcast was every year I do a deep dive on my goals, and it was like podcast number one, and it just kept getting pushed to the back burner. And that year, 2.5 years ago, I was like, I am so sick of telling myself I'm either doing it or I'm not going to keep, like, I'm taking
ever again.
I'm never going to discuss this again until the end of time because I can't stand having a goal and then not doing it. So I called Erin and I literally said, she's like, hey, what's up? And I was like, I'm calling you because I need you to make me do something. She's like, oh my God, what is it?
My favorite thing.
So you yelled.
It was when you said, I have the microphone. I was like, you have the microphone.
I was like, but I also remember being like, I don't know what to do. Like, why do you have headphones on? What are these for? Like, I don't know how this whole thing works. It's always
look at this crystal stand. She has a crystal stand for her microphone.
Acrylic.
It's acrylic, but it's fancy. But I think that that's important. Like, I'm like, Moira, you're the most make it happen, figure it out person I've ever met. Go figure it out and don't call me until you've done it.
Yeah.
Accountability. That's how literally our whole businesses were built on the fact that you need that.
Yes. And this is what we're here to talk about today. Obviously, we're not using the mic today.
God, me on a mic is scary.
But surrounding yourself with the people that are going to do that for you.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want people in my life that are going to let me get away with like coasting or let me kind of be down here with my career when I could be up here, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what we've always done.
Yeah.
So let's go back. Let's take it back.
Okay.
So we're going to talk network marketing today and kind of what we found and how radically different it is for us versus what we actually, for sure, what we thought, but probably what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go into my whole entire story, but, you know, I found this thing that was already like who I was, meaning nutrition, fitness, personal growth, like helping people on their journeys. That was both of our passions because you were a personal trainer, yoga teacher. It's kind of my field too. And so I made the decision at one point in 2015.
I started in 16.
2015 to like I felt like it was like rip the Band-Aid off moment, which we both had a lot of those moments of like a lot of those moments of like, I'm either going to take a chance on this insane thing and follow in the footsteps, hopefully, of these amazing women that I see out there crushing it in every regard and helping tens of thousands of women, or I'm just going to still stay in my little box in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, in the small-minded, small world where kind of people are just talking about people and you just, you know, it's just.
I used to be one of those people.
So did I. And so I took the leap.
I was actually talking about her.
There. So here I am being wildly judged, I'm sure. Like, let's just be real.
Yeah.
You know,
you were doing
I had blinders on, but
very unconventional, crazy thing that really hadn't been done I didn't know of it like locally being done. So yeah, people were like, she's doing what?
And I had been like,
she's going to the dark side.
Right.
Like, what? We're fitness professionals. Yeah. Like, you're doing this thing where you don't have to have a certification.
Right. And I had been a studio owner, and like I had a reputation and a name in this town.
Mhm.
And of course, that was my biggest thing. Like, what are people going to think of me? But I find I had to get over that at some point. And so, yeah, the world out there was talking a lot of smack.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you step into success. And really not even success at that point. It's what happens when you step outside the box and you do
Yeah.
something unconventional. You looking back and now at this point, I'm like, you kind of have to learn to expect that. And you're just going to have to take it. And the more success you have, the more people are going to talk smack.
And we both had very close friends in the beginning that were like telling us not to do it.
Yeah, I actually just heard a mentor of mine tell the story about his mom, and I was like, oh, my mom did the exact same thing. My mom came over and took my husband Brian out to dinner alone to like have a talking to about me. Like, what does she think she's doing? All this stuff. So it can be like it's not all rainbows and sunshine. And
That's where the
so
magic happens.
we didn't really know
Most
each
people
other.
can't get through that
Right.
in order to see
Right.
how amazing this can be and what it can do for your family, because they're like, oh man, that one person from the 4th grade doesn't think this is
Right.
like, who cares?
Who cares?
What the person that you
Yeah.
don't even talk to anymore
Right.
or care about. I mean, maybe you care about them, but
Right.
and you know, we did have that. We had people that we really care
Yeah.
about questioning what we were doing, and we just believed in it and we believed in each other.
And
And
that's what helps so much is when you have the voice that can like be like, it's okay, like we're doing this thing, and kind of bring you back to like direction. Because the other side of that is sometimes it is the people you love the absolute most that are, you know, not believing in it. And that's really normal too, because those people like they're looking out for your, like, spouses are usually security, right? Like we need this to be a safe thing, we need this to be conventional. My parents of course are like, you need to go get a real job.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it all comes from a place, and from those people it comes from a place of love and care. But you have to at some point, if you're a real like entrepreneur, I feel like just be like, I've got to beat to my own drum.
yeah.
You know.
And I was watching her. We actually, it's funny because we should have been friends.
Yeah.
Like we ran in a lot of the same circles, especially in the fitness world. Her Pilates studio was in the gym where I trained people. And we would like walk by and say hello. Like I knew you were you, but that was it. Like we didn't have a relationship. So anyway, I'm watching her, and I have 3 kids at home under 3. I can't even go teach a fitness class if I want to, because I'd have to pay a babysitter more than I would make.
Yeah.
Teaching the fitness class. And I had postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression. And I was watching her build this community, and I was watching her get in the best shape of her life. And I was watching her like be a present mom, but also have this really cool business, and all from home. And I watched for a long time.
And I did the same when I owned the Pilates studio. I was watching people that I was like, what is happening over here, as I was like struggle busing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Struggle busing it. Struggle buzzing it. And I remember being like, and also this is interesting. I don't know if we've ever talked about this. There's a group of people that I knew from college. I went to Virginia Tech, so huge school, and they were all doing Roden and Fields. And like, I knew that I didn't want to sell skincare because I barely wash my face. Like that's not my thing. But I was watching them have success in network marketing. And I'm like, okay, I'm watching this group of people have success in network marketing. Then I have this person who has like every certification, is like so legit. She's doing, that's her. She's doing this. And one night I've been thinking about it, like, and not saying a word to anyone about it for months and months and months. And one night I'm like, I'm never going to stop thinking about this. Like, I'm always going to wonder what this could be, what my life could be if I could do what she's doing. And she was only like 6 or 8 months in.
Yeah,
like she was new.
out.
It's not like she had done what she's done now. And I finally just messaged her. I was struggling in my own health and fitness journey, just postpartum as a new mom, and just struggling in every part of my life. But I remember I needed to run it by 2 people, my husband and my best friend, Sarah. And I talked to my husband, and I thought he was going to be like, no, like you're barely surviving with 3 kids under 3. Like I thought,
which would have been a normal response. And I think a lot of spouses do respond that way.
Yeah.
And again, we mentor a lot of women that were like, if this is in your heart and you believe in this, like you've got to like just communicate, like, you know?
So I ran it by my husband, Miles, and I thought he was going to be like, you can't add anything to your plate. You can barely handle what's on your plate. Like And that would, again, have made sense.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, you absolutely owe it to yourself and to our family to give this a try. And I'm like,
thank you, Miles.
And then I asked Sarah, my best friend, to go to a spin class with me. So we go to a spin class at the gym. She has little kids same age. So like, God only knows how we got our kids all figured out that day. And we went to a spin class, and there's like a juice bar right next to the spin class. So
not my juice bar.
Yeah.
There's that story, but not my juice bar.
Yeah. Just, next to the gym. And so I'm like, let's go have a juice. And I'm like planning on like sitting her down and telling her that I'm going to try this network marketing thing, and thinking that she's going to be like, don't be one of those people.
Yeah.
And I sat her down, and I'm like, I don't know if you've heard of Moira Casaba. And she's like, I follow her. I've been watching this too. And
a lot of people are watching.
I'm like, I'm going to do it. And she was like, you know what? That makes so much sense.
Thank you,
I have chills. Full chills right now. I'm talking about Sarah. So anyway, Sarah, and I'm like, I think she's making a lot of money, but like, I don't know if I believe that she's making what she said. How could she be? I was being like, I'm like a whole different person than I was 8 years ago. So
yeah, we both are. Thank goodness.
Giving myself a lot of grace for what I used to say and do back then. But anyway, so Sarah was like, you should absolutely do this. This makes so much sense for you and your background and where you are in life. And like, Moira's killing it. I think you could kill it too. And then this man comes up behind me. I've never seen this man in my whole freaking life. And remember,
if you don't know Erin Hopkins, she has extreme anxiety disorder.
And I'm loud. Like, if I'm talking in a restaurant, everybody can freaking hear me.
Yep.
And this guy comes up behind me and taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, I'm Moira's husband. And I'm like, what have I been saying? What's happening? He's like, she's going to take really good care of you. And I really wasn't saying anything like that was bad. But I'm like replaying every sentence. I'm like, Sarah, what happened? She's like, no, you're good. It's good. You said good things about her. I'm like, thank God. And that day I signed up, and the next week you came over to you were like, let's go to coffee. I'm like, I've got 3 kids under 3. I'm not coming to coffee. And you were like, do they nap? So they were all napping, and Moira came over. I feel like this was like in the first week or 2.
Yeah.
And we're sitting, I can see
very
it perfectly.
Early on.
I was sitting on my round dining room table, and you were standing up because you were too excited to sit.
Yes, I remember it so well.
And you were like, I know this sounds crazy.
Well, we had a whole, first we had we did the whole business thing. I kind of helped. I was like, let me just come over and explain things to you. Yeah. So it was almost it was very casual, but it was just teaching you a bunch of stuff.
Launch meeting.
And then it was almost on my way out that I was like, because I have, hello, if you're a listener of my podcast, you know this, that I definitely have I don't want to say it's premonitions.
She's a prophet.
Erin likes calling me a prophet. But I really do see things, and it's kind of this crazy thing. And I've never really been shy about just speaking it into,
and I've never been exposed to somebody like this. I'm
a total weirdo.
I'm like, this is the weirdest woo-woo thing anybody's ever said to me. I mean, y'all, I was, again, a whole different person. But I'm also
not weird and woo-woo at all until I am. Until I say stuff like I had a vision.
And that's what she said. She goes, you're just going to think this is really weird. And I'm like, I already think a lot of this is really weird. But I have this vision of you and me taking it to the top. And I have this vision of us being on stages together and creating this top team. And y'all, we were nobody. Nobody
we
knew.
We were number 399,998 out of 400,000. That's where we were.
When they would say your name, they would call her Mara Kukaba.
Yeah, well, that was no one.
I remember Hannah being like, Moira, one day they're going to get your name right. They're going to know your name one day. Right. And they do. But you were like, I just remember her leaving. I'm like, well, that was really cool, but that was weird. You have a vision. And then that's happened over and over again, and top team. And I'm currently the top team.
And it's amazing. I just
there they are again
about why I also became the vision queen after that kind of, because vision was so important to me. But I think it's probably because I do have that gift of being able to see things. Right. And then it's it's called prophecy in the Christian religion. But I have this gift of I just see things, and then it's so I'm able to go okay, that's where we're going. But now the business brain, my entrepreneurial brain comes out, right? Yeah. Where it's okay, what do we need to, how do we need to strategize this?
Yeah.
This is where we're going to be. Where do we need to be here? And what do we need to do on a daily basis? What are the tasks? What are the income producing activities? And like, it's like this crazy both sides of my brain that I don't think a lot of people have.
No.
And you have that. I
didn't know that I had that. Yeah.
Meaning like you had the business brain and I've cultivated the rest in you because you're so dang trainable and teachable.
Well, I did decide like, I'm going to do what she tells me to do.
Right.
Like if I'm going to do this, and I had, you know, friends who were like, oh, this is, I had some weird situations with people that I love. And that like, I had to really walk through that. It wasn't all like Miles and Sarah, but I had to be like, well, I'm not going to halfway do this. Like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure I do this and have success. And I'm going to do whatever she tells me to do.
Right. And I had that moment
still do whatever she tells me to do.
She does. She does. And
I have a sauna and a cold plunge in my backyard.
Like, yeah, she really does what I tell her to do. I think I want to pause and go back for a second because I think this is so important, and because it just actually gave me a pit in my stomach. Like I have like chills and tears and all the things, but I'm like kind of on an emotional roller coaster because when you talked about those other friends that weren't like the Miles and the Sarah, I think it's important to know that like people that are wildly successful have really hard moments, right?
Yeah.
I had like my best friend when I started out on this journey say to me at a dinner when I was like so nervous to like kind of bring it up because all of a sudden I was on social media like all the time, especially back then. And I was basically saying like, how are you guys, like, what do you think about this? Like, I was so terrified to even bring it up. And it was almost like this, I look back and it was like, she kind of pushed back from the table and was like, I had to stop following you on social media. And I was like, I mean, I almost like vomited on the table from like the gut punch of like, just like, what? Like tears sprang to my eyes. I'm like, this is one of my closest friends.
Yeah.
And what I want listeners to know is that was a really hard road where it's like, do you hold tight to this thing that you feel called to do in the world? Or do you give into this voice that's like right there in your ear of judgment, right? It's just judgment. And had I done that, like literally tens of thousands of lives would not have been changed in the world. And I'm not saying I changed tens of thousands of lives. Like I changed thousands, one of which was you. You changed thousands.
Right. They've changed thousands.
Yeah, it's a domino effect. But like we talk about this all the time too. It's like, you know, do you want impact or ego? And it's kind of like the ego is saying like, I'm so scared of judgment. I'm so afraid of what people are going to think of me. It's like, are you choosing that? Or do you want to choose to impact the world? And if you don't have that tight knit group of people that are like reminding you constantly and like building the belief in you when other people might be tearing it down, like you're not going to make it.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. And it's funny because some of those people who are like not fans of this in the beginning, you know, now 8 years later, current top team, part of top team, you know, what we've created. I'll get messages that are like, wow, you really did it.
Right. They're either proud and supportive of you now.
Yeah.
Part of the business now.
Right.
Or you realize
they're not your people.
They are so not my people. And maybe they had a whole lot going on in their lives and their judgment actually had nothing to do with me and everything to do with their side of the street. And you can only see that looking back.
Yeah.
You know,
because man, if I had I'm thinking about one night in particular, but if I had, you know, what I ended up talking about, because she has to deal with my aftermath of like emotional aftermath.
Yeah.
But if I let that stop me, like where would my family be? Where would my marriage be? Where would I mean, I said, like, I'm literally a transformed human just in terms of personal growth that I would never have been exposed to. I would never. And so, yeah, like there were some friends along the way that I realized weren't my people, but like I found this upgraded.
You find a different level
and circle.
of circle. You find a higher circle, you know, and it's not, and we're not saying it's better than, it's just it's certainly, and I will say this bluntly, more personal growth, like evolved, you know, like we've done so much work that we just don't get tied up in like all that nonsense that we used to get tied up in. And we just see the world a different way. We come from a place of like insane abundance. I was just leading a training this morning, and I was talking about when I first came in that I was so blown away that like my direct competition in the business would be like, sure, I'll hop on a call with you and tell you everything I'm doing. And I was like, what's the ulterior motive? Like, I was like, this can't be real.
Yeah.
Like, because we're used to the way the world operates, like kind of shit talking women, like women down talking other women, women jealous. It's just, I was with somebody early on that was like, I was talking to these two girls, and one of them said to the other one, like, oh yeah, I screenshotted you her social media post the other day. And I was like, and that right there sums it up.
Yeah.
I would never, ever, maybe 10 years ago, I would never screenshot someone's social media post and send it to a friend to like,
unless it was like, look how awesome this is.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, look how hot she is.
Yeah.
She looks amazing. Like, and then we're in a group thread, like just
building each other up.
It's just a different world, and thank God we get to live in this world.
Yeah,
you know,
and that, I mean, you have a girl and a boy. I have 3 girls, and that they get to see this version.
Yeah.
Because they don't remember. I mean, I started this business when I literally had 3 kids under 3, and now they're 11 and 8. I have twins, 2 11-year-olds and an 8. But it was. They get a whole different childhood experience because of this. Like,
it's like not even the same person
that
they're being raised by. Yeah. I mean,
not to mention like the financial options and the ability for parents to be home and available.
Right. Yeah. I know, it's even funny because it's hard for me to even think back sometimes where, you know, Brian worked 6 days a week and late Monday through Friday. And like, now it's like, you know, I'm on a trip and he's picking up the kids or coaching basketball or doing this. And it's like, he didn't have that flexibility. Like, it wasn't an option, you know, before. And that caused so much strain on our marriage. And
now your kids don't know anything other than 2 super available parents.
Yeah. Yeah. And they also know, and I think that's the other side, is like, my kids watch, Brian and I are both entrepreneurs. He has his own business, I have mine. And they're like, oh, like, you guys work really hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we work really hard to be able to give you this life, to have flexibility, to have freedoms, to be able to allow you to do this and do that and do all these special things. But they also see the like up early to, you know, they see the sacrifices. So it's like the best of both worlds, because they see the hustle, they see the sacrifice, but they see, because I was dropping Finn off at school one day last year. He's like, you're so lucky. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because you just get to like go back home and sit around. And I was like, okay, I'm not sitting around. But we had the conversation. I was like, my life didn't always look like this. I used to be up at 5 a.m., like, you know, getting a babysitter to come to my house at 5:30 in the morning to watch you guys while you were asleep so I could go to the Pilates studio. Like, and like, it wasn't always like this. Like, I fought for this. And I fought through not just hard work. I fought through the judgments. I fought through the doubt. That's
way harder.
That's way harder. Like, that's the journey. It's not just like work hard for success. It's like, are you willing to climb the freaking mountain of boulders in front of you? That's all inside stuff.
Yeah. And we have worked our asses off.
Yeah.
But I'll say that like, we've enjoyed like 99% of it.
Yeah.
Like, I like love the actual work.
Yeah.
And like, my husband used to be a CPA. This has allowed him to not be a CPA anymore and have a business that he loves. But I'm like, he used to hate 100% of his job. He would just go because it was a good living for our family. And he would just like, that was his responsibility. Right. So I'm like, if I don't like 1 to 2%, or if I have to deal with some hard days or hard conversations, I get to do this work that I love 98% of the time.
And we only have that story because that's what we're telling each other all the time. When we're like literally crying, we're like, I can't do this anymore. I hate it. I quit. I hate it. We're like, okay, reel it in. Like, let me just get your head screwed on straight for a minute. Like, that's what we do with our team. That's who our top leaders are for each other.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh yeah, that was just a moment.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good.
That was the 2%. It's
right,
okay.
right. But that's because of our circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk, and so I'm going to ask you this. So everyone probably, or a lot of people, I would never want to just judge and say everybody, but a lot of people think like, oh, you became part of this like network marketing thing. So people on the outside in, and it's because they just don't know.
Yeah.
They'll be like, so how many people are in your team? And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't even know where to find that data in my back office.
Of course you don't. I know where to find it.
But I've never known the answer to that question, because what they're asking is like, how many people do you have under you that funnel money up to you? That's kind of what they're asking. And I'm like, it doesn't really work that way.
At all.
At all. Like, it just doesn't. And BODi is a different structure and compensation plan than every network marketing company has. A different compensation plan, different structure to it.
Yeah.
And so they're all very different. And
we really only know this one.
We only know this one. So we can't talk about any others, but I love the fact that Beachbody is not like, you can't just show up one day and magically sign up and make money.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
No.
Like, the person that signed up after me, like the number 2 person, I signed up, they signed up next, they make $0. There's like 100 of those people that make $0.
Yeah.
Because they don't do anything. So you can't just magically make money. But how would you answer that question into like, well, then how do you make money? Oh, that's different.
I think that is what I always say. It's like the best team sport ever, because it's not like, oh, Moira's at the top, so Moira makes all the money. I mean, you make a really amazing income because you work hard. Yeah. So, you're
and I'm really good at what I do.
Yeah. And you've stayed connected and in it, even though you have all these other amazing things like this podcast, and a planner and a bajillion other things that you do. But I think that it's really cool because let's say I sign up 5 people, like I help them and they help me. And it's this team sport that we do together. And I think that that's what people are missing. They think that like, I'm at the top, so they help me. Well, right. First of all, I hate that. I'm at the top. What does that even mean? Yeah. And it's not even true. Yeah. And instead, we work together to build volume and income for each other's families. And that's cool. Like, I even love it that like I could sign up 5 people and now they're a little team that work together to build volume together. Yeah. And I don't know why, like, maybe that doesn't even make sense to somebody outside of our world, and that's okay. But it's just this idea that we're working together. Our families are connected now. Our incomes are connected now. And it just becomes this like really, it's the greatest team sport of all time.
It is. And I think of it too, sometimes you said it so well, but it's also like, and this, I don't want this to paint it in a negative light at all, but like, I think a lot of times about just like a regular business structure. Like with my entrepreneurial mind, I'm like, well, if I went into Merck or some big company and they were like, Moira, you are head of the Southeast sales team. Like I was the sales manager for the sales force. If I was good at my job and I blood, sweat, and tears, like worked with these people relentlessly, 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, built relationships with them and helped them become good salespeople, well, Merck would be like,
I'm going to bonus you on their performance.
Right.
So why is this weird?
Right.
Why isn't it's exactly
and
that?
If I was really bad at my job, I would make $0 and be fired, which is the same thing that happens in network marketing. You make $0 and people quit because it didn't work. So it's the exact same thing. Like we are really good at training. We are really good at sales training. We are really good at leadership development. Yeah. We are really good at relationship building. It's no different. It's no different.
So why is it that, where's the stigma?
Well, I think there probably are other network marketing companies that are structured differently than BODi that might tip a little bit in that direction of like, oh, well, I signed up and I'm magically making money, maybe. But it would be my guess that a lot of those places have probably been shut down because network marketing companies get shut down, here and there.
And what you just described, like the pharmaceutical sales manager, is the exact same thing that we do.
But we do it on a whole nother level of like, we know all their kids' names. Yeah. We know, we were just talking in the kitchen about like so-and-so's mom just had surgery. And like, we are so immersed in the culture of our people. That probably doesn't happen at farms. I mean, again, I'm not passing judgment. I'm just saying we do that at a different level, I think. And that's what makes it so incredible.
Yeah. With real business strategy and real, I mean.
And I think that's the thing that you and I have always brought to the table.
Yeah.
Is I always picture a seesaw. It's like this perfect balance of like love and heart and passion and relationships. But then we like geek out on business strategy and compensation plans and the numbers and the graphs and the this. And not everybody has that brain either.
Yeah, but I didn't know that I had that brain. You did. You were a businessy.
But I didn't know I had it at this level until I got here.
Yeah.
You know?
I was like, I can't do math. I mean, I don't know. And now I'm like one of the company's compensation experts.
Right. 100%.
It's crazy, but it really did like unleash this set of boss skills that I didn't really know that I had. I mean, I knew I was a good leader. I've been captain of teams and like I knew that I had that in me, but I had no idea.
Well, and that's the other thing that like I think is the coolest part of network marketing, because even some of the greatest thought leaders in the world, like of course I can't think of any of them right now that are like, but some of and I don't want to say wrong names and you know, this isn't the truth, so I'm not going to say any names, but there's a lot of people out there in the world that started in network marketing, maybe even like 40 years ago, 50 years ago, but they got their start because the way that it's structured, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I also think it's because in the world of network marketing, they do such an incredible job of like incentivizing and recognizing these baby steps, right? So you're like, come in and you're like, okay, what do I do first? And we're like, we can tell you 1, 2, 3, 4. And this exact thing. And you're like, oh, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we recognize you and celebrate you. And then we have the exact roadmap for the next and the next and the next. Yeah. And when you're starting your own business, like nobody's patting you on the back. Nobody's telling you good job. Nobody's actually saying,
or when you're your mom,
right? Nobody's like, you did it. Like, and so you're driven, especially with our personalities, to just keep like going because you have such a roadmap for success.
Oh, it's so fun.
And then you build the confidence. Like that's one of the things we work with our coaches about. They're like, how do I have more confidence? I'm like, you got to like take action. Like the way that you build confidence is taking action. And so you end up we arrive at these places where they're like, I always laugh because the first time they asked me to speak was in front of like 23,000 at the Superdome, which my biggest fear is public speaking. It's now like on my vision board.
I was just like, all this speaking vision.
But like, again, I didn't know I had that in me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's crazy. And we've had fun doing it. And like, maybe it isn't network marketing. Like maybe it is some other maybe it's starting a podcast or starting the business or doing some kind of I don't know, digital marketing, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be network marketing, although like it's been so fun for us because of the relationships, like that network marketing. I mean, like that's why it is so amazing. But there's going to be some like discomfort, judgment, dealing with people not liking what you're doing, no matter what scary thing that is going to like make you level up your life. And so it has to be done anyway. We just took this avenue.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts, but I want to ask you more questions. What would you say to somebody that is considering network marketing as a whole? Like, do I go with this company, this company, this company? What do I do?
I think that you have to find the thing that you really love. Like, I really love health and fitness. I really love figuring out how to feel good and helping other people feel good. And so this was obvious. Like I said, like I had this, my Virginia Tech college friends were building this Roden and Fields empire. Like I could have done that and been on a great team and it would have been fun because they were fun. And then there was like a beauty counter crowd and I'm like, that's not my jam. Yeah. Like, that's just not anything that I am passionate about, but this is.
Yeah. Well, we got to talk about that for a second because I kind of had a little bit of a different thought. I was like, literally no to like network marketing. Like my friends were doing all those things and I was like, I will never like, and I was so like harsh about it. Like not to my friends, like I'll buy your stuff, I'll come to your parties. I want to support you,
but I don't want to do it.
But I will never, ever hard no, hard pass. And that's because that is a lot of companies are very much product based.
Yes.
And we certainly have products in BODi, but we are the only one that I have seen that is very service based. And that's why I'm like, oh, this is not anything like I've ever seen out there, because we spend all day coaching people.
Right.
All day coaching people.
The girl who sold me my lash boost for years, who I love and is amazing, like wasn't checking in on me to see if I was using the lash boost.
Right.
Like, you know, we're like, did you work out? Send me your sweaty selfie. How do you feel today?
Yeah.
Are you following it? Are you getting enough water? Did you take a walk? Like, we are literally creating communities. And, you know, for me, coming out of this like postpartum anxiety, depression, feeling trapped in my life, feeling alone, like that's the loneliest I've ever felt. And I was surrounded by people. It was just like, I was so lonely and just struggling. And so it was on my heart to build a community of women that really had each other's backs, and that we could really link arms and get through the hard together and get on the priority list together. And now I'm in a different season of motherhood, but I still get to go help those new moms. And I'm like, I know exactly how you feel. Come here. I'm going to make you feel better. Like, I'm going to give you the community. I'm going to give you the people, because in reality, that's why I said yes to you. Like, I was like just watching and like jealous, and she's building this community. And it was that, like, we did need money. I did need help and a health and fitness solution. That's not why I said yes. I said yes because you were cultivating a community that I had chosen, that I desperately needed. There was a picture that somebody posted on social media. I don't even think
this table, which is now my desk.
Oh, that's so funny.
This was my desk.
She was at her old house, and she had, on Wednesdays, she would have her team over at her dining room table, and they posted like, you know, selfie of the table. And I just thought to myself, I don't think they're talking about diaper schedules, nap schedules, whose husband was so shitty that didn't wake up with the baby the night before. Like, I just felt like they were talking, there was a different conversation happening at that table. And I knew that that's what I needed. And honestly, it was that picture that made me be like, F it. If I don't do this, I'm always going to wonder, what if this is the thing? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I'll never know unless I try. And, you know, so it was community for me. And so that is what I want to make sure I am always facilitating for other women and moms. And what I've learned is that women need to feel seen and they need to feel worthy. And I think that we've created such a beautiful place for that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Goodness. I'm like tearing up because you're bringing me back to so much. And one of my favorite quotes, I've been like just living in it the last year or two, is we become our conversations. And you said, like, you know, the conversation you were having in your everyday life versus the conversation that was being had at that table, like, what do you want to become? And it's, you know, it's interesting because I've built my foundation on network marketing, and I have certainly pivoted into that foundation, allowing me the skill set and just the belief in myself to start a podcast, to publish planners and books and journals, and to start a mastermind and all these things. But what is mind blowing to me, and I also, you know, she's heard me say this a million times, listen to the whisper. It's like, go where that calling is, right? Whether it's to start a podcast or to write a book or to join this crazy network marketing thing, like go where it's that's where it started for me. There was like this whisper, this like pull that sounded insane. I was like, no. And it was like, yes. And I was like, no. I said no. And it kept, I said no, right. I said no. And it kept pulling me. And I also want to go back to, you said yes for community. I said yes because I was drowning. And I used to say, I always signed up for it. Like, you would sign up for a 5K. I'm like, I have to do something. Like, I have to do something because life is so hard. And I am just trying to survive my days. And I am so unhappy. And I just need to do something. And maybe this crazy thing is it. And that's why I said yes. And so I just needed joy. I needed a life raft.
The life raft.
But here's the crazy thing. I find myself now, like, if I'm getting ready to launch a new thing and I'm like, gosh, I need to go find the best of the best that have paved the road, that have done this business model before me, pay them tens of thousands of dollars to learn from them, either join a $25,000 mastermind or pay $50,000 to hire them as my private coach. I mean,
I only had to pay $179 for that.
but that's insane. That's what I'm saying. That I'm like, I can't believe it's like dawned on me on a different level in the last couple weeks. Cause I'm like,
I said that to my team the
wait
other
a
day.
second.
She spoke for my team at a retreat that we had. And I'm like, do you guys realize what people pay? Like what?
Like $800 an hour for a one-on-one session.
It's for free. It's for this team. Like, are you kidding me? This is so amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we get.
And like when we came in, when you like start kind of going up the ranks of like having more success, the company puts you in these pods where you're like, all of a sudden I'm like in a weekly call with people and we can't share incomes. Not against FTC regulations, but like, let me just say, you're at the table with people that have changed their life generationally. And you're just like in a meeting with them every single week and they're sharing all their secrets and they're saying, Erin, this is what you're going to do. This is exactly how you do it. And like now being on the outside of that bubble and going other places, I'm like, I'm happy to pay like $100,000 for that expertise. And it's just what we've gotten since day one.
Right. And that's, you can see it happening for yourself when you're in those circles. And that's why I was so lucky with her, because I started a year after her and she would share her income privately with me. And I'd be like, that would change my life. That would change my marriage. That would change what we're going through right now. Do you think I can do that? And you're like, yeah, it's just a matter of time. Like, are you going to keep going? Are you going to like,
it's a matter of you doing the work.
Yeah.
It's a matter of you doing everything I tell you to do.
Right. Like, yes, ma'am. What do I need to do next? Right. But like, it really it is so important to have somebody who's just a couple steps ahead of you. And it's the greatest.
Yeah. Well, and to dispel that belief too, because you just said it, but I want to put it a different way. Cause I remember somebody one time we used to do, and we still kind of do these things called like partner coach sneak peeks, where you kind of bring people that are interested in this into like a smaller group and you're explaining all the things. And I remember somebody in kind of a little bit of a crappy way said like, well, how many people actually succeed that like join you? And I was like, I don't know where she's going with this. Like, I understand skepticism because I was the biggest skeptic. And I was like, and I wasn't being crappy. I was like, it just kind of crossed my mind and my heart. I was like 100% of the people that do everything I ask them to do, 100%. And this is why network marketing has a bad rap, right? Because say 100 people come in, what we now know is that 98 or 99 of them don't do 100% of what we ask them to do. And so they fail.
They do what they feel like.
Yeah. They do what they're comfortable with. They do what is, what they feel like, what fits in, and that doesn't lead to success. And we were the 1% or the 1%, I guess, that were like, I will move mountains and just do whatever it takes. And it wasn't just the work for the business. It was all that inside stuff. Like, okay, I'll go to the seminar, I'll listen to the thing, I'll do the training, I'll read the book, I'll do this crazy exercise you're telling me to do, because the inside stuff is what's going to stop you. Yeah. 100%.
And you were already so far advanced than most people, I would say, because of AA.
Right.
Like, you've been working on yourself forever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's personal growth? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I like literally had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And that matters. Like,
yeah.
That gave you such a good foundation to your business, because
little did I realize my alcoholism was going to be a great foundation for building an empire. But it is. And that's how we also see the world now. Yeah. Like, it's just like everything's a gift, What else? What do you want to leave these people with? Thoughts?
I mean, this is what you always say, but like, it's always worth it. Like, even the hard days have been so worth it. Like, this business has changed my whole life, my family, like who I am as a human, our options, our financial options. Like, it's literally insane. So I just had my 8-year anniversary.
I was just thinking, how have we not cried 10 times already? We're usually bawling our eyes out. Like, how have we not cried?
I had my 8-year anniversary last week, and I I really started thinking about my life and what if I hadn't said yes, or what if I hadn't gotten over myself, or what if I had let that one conversation that happened in the first couple months where people I loved did not support me. What if I had let that stop me? Like, where would we be? And who would these little girls,
Would we even be married? Who knows?
and this life that we've created, I'm just so proud of it. And like, yeah, it's because of network marketing, but it's also because of the work that we've done together. And it's because somebody did it first. And I just got to watch you and just follow along. And it's changed my whole life. And now, I mean, we're family. Like, this isn't just like we work together. Like, I couldn't go to a dance competition and she took my 8-year-old with her in a hotel room. Like, you know, like that's what we do. We do business and life together. And so while, you know, it's crazy to me that people have bad attitudes about network marketing, but I think it's just they don't understand it.
They don't understand.
And maybe somebody did it in a shitty way at one point. Am I supposed to cuss on this? Talked about this before. Maybe somebody, you know, did it in a bad way, and it just doesn't have to be like that. And it's so sad. I just remember, you know, in the beginning stages of my business, when I was like just living in that kind of like, I felt like I was walking through fear every single day, fear of judgment every single day. It doesn't feel like that anymore. But when it did, I just remember like my husband saying, like, oh, you're worried about people who aren't happy that you're happy and you're taking care of yourself and you're feeling better because you just couldn't get out of bed for the last 3 months because you were so depressed. And now you're up and you're starting to become yourself again. And these people aren't happy for that. They're not our people. Yeah. And I'm like, and he told me to clean out the friend closet. Yeah. And that was in month 3. Like that was the moment where I was either going to go all in and freaking be the top team, or I was going to just quit and say, sorry, Moira, I'm not built for this. This is too hard. And instead, I just looked around like, okay, these people aren't happy that I'm getting happy. Yeah. And they're not my people. And I think that, you know, while I'm talking about network marketing and I'm sad about the stigma and I wish that people could understand, and I see so many people be like, oh gosh, well, my cousin said something rude to me about it, so I think I'm just going to cancel. Like that breaks my heart, but I think that it translates into anything new or anything unconventional or any new business or anything.
Anything. I was literally up against it this weekend and I had to remember what we always tell each other. Yeah. One of the thousands of things, it's like, wait, why am I listening and taking advice from people that aren't anywhere where I want to go? Like they love me and support me and they're like, we think this is a bad idea. I'm like, but the person that's 10 steps ahead on this path would be like, yes, this is exactly what you need to do. It's like, don't listen to people that aren't where you want to go, you know?
I think you're trying to wrap this up, so I don't want to go too far into something else, but I just thought of something. I've had 2 family members, one super distant, say to me in a loving way, like truly, I'm worried about you. Yeah. You're just working so hard and like, you should just take a rest. And I'm like, would you say that to Miles, my husband? Right. Like, is this, yeah, I am working hard and I'm having fun and I have big goals. And by the way, my family's a part of these goals. Like we are going, we're shooting for the top team right now. Everybody, mommy, what number are you? How are we doing this? Like, right? Like everybody's a part of this goal. And I just don't think that people are saying this to men. I don't think they're saying you should rest. Right. You're doing too
worried
much.
About this professional decision.
I'm worried about you because you're working hard. I'm like, I love it. Mm-hmm. Like I have to make myself not work because it brings me joy and I love it. Like I just set non-working business hours, not, you know, and I just think there's such a stigma to that. Like I'm creating amazing things for my family and there's a ripple effect that comes from that. And I just don't think that people would say that to, you know, my husband is busy season as a CPA. You are never home. You're working 20 hours a day. Like it is nuts what you have to do. Nobody told him, you know, I'm worried about you. You're working so hard. They said, go provide for your family. Right. I mean, it's different. It's, you see me get really fired up when I talk to our team this way. Because I always say the flip side. And I'm like, would your husband be going to Target at 10 a.m.? Like work your job. Like if you want to turn this into a business, you have to treat it like a business. It's the same thing, right? It's like, I think that's the
It's
problem with
a
network
different
marketing.
lens,
People
yeah.
think like, I did a post.
Right.
I'm now a network marketer and I'm
Right.
selling. I'm like, are you creating relationships? Are you?
Right. It's a job. It's work. Yeah.
It's
It's only going to become a business when you treat it like a business.
yeah.
Willow just came up to say hi. So maybe that's, so she doesn't start barking. That's our cue to be like, wrap it up, ladies.
Yeah.
You said so much there at the end that, I can relate to on every level. And I was just like, of course, thinking about my own family as you were talking and the opportunities that they have. And like, my kids are 9th and 10th grade. And so it's like really evident that like in 3 or 4 years, they're going to be gone.
Woo.
Not forever, but who my children are becoming and like what the paths that I see them forging are beyond anything I could have ever dreamt up for them. And it's only because of what has like seeped through me into them as like their confidence and their belief and their, I'll tell this story really quick. I was in a board meeting the other day about my brand and we're talking about like, I'm like getting really fired up about the power of visualization. And I was just telling my son the other day, and he's a baseball player. And I was like, he's just got to keep visualizing himself hitting it out of the park. There's going to be that day where it comes and he's going to hit it out of the park and it's going to be his first out of the park home run. And I literally get a text message comes through. He's like, out of the park home run. My husband texts me and I'm like, I just start falling. Like the whole room's falling. The whole room's watching the video again. And I'm like, he is doing what he's doing because of who I've become in this journey.
Absolutely.
It's the most awesome thing. And that's what we always tell each other on those hard days where we like, I hate this, I want to quit. We're like, no, remember. We're like, oh yeah, I would just be throwing the towel in on myself. Yeah. And really my children and my family. And
proving all of those people right.
Right. And yes,
just me. I got to prove them wrong.
Right. Right. And it's always worth it.
It's always worth it.
It's always worth it. So that was totally off the cuff, you guys. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that it gave you belief and direction and just the confidence in yourself to just go, right? What doesn't have to be network marketing, but go where you're being called, find those people and just get them around you to find that circle that's going to breathe life and belief into you, because it is the difference maker. And Erin, I love you.
I love you
Thanks
too
for being here.
The best.
Bye, guys.